You know when you meet someone and there's this crazy energy, and usually it's toxic, but we do it anyway.
Oh yeah,
but like
the toxic ones are the best ones.
But I feel like women know like a year before they're gonna break up with someone. I kind of think that an ending should be an ending. You need some heartbreaks to even know what you want.
Pain is still there, and we're going to go deep into it. So who should be leading that relationship and why? A lot of guys, when they get into a relationship, they lose their edge. They get fat. So anytime I do get in a relationship, always I try and better myself.
I think jealousy is healthy.
How important is sex in a relationship? You good, bro?
I'm good, brother. How are you? Thumbs up always.
I'm going to start off with a quote. Okay? Just to get the ball rolling, then I'll do some short introductions, and then we'll get into the talking points of today. But this is going to be a really interesting one, guys. So be ready for this. And the quote goes, "You won't lose any women chasing your empire, but you will lose your empire chasing women." My name's Nick. Thank you for watching this. I'm
Ashley Kemp from Wales. I've known Nick years now, many years.
We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
One of my best friends here, Ash, and today we're going to be talking about all things dating and relationships. So it's going to be quite interesting because we have a lot of these conversations off air, and now we're going to have these conversations on air.
Yeah, we've said it for years, right? Like we've always said, why did no one video that? Why did no one say anything about that? So yeah, I guess you get access to it today, whatever flows.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We've got some talking points. So are you ready to get into the first one?
Let's go.
Okay, so I'm gonna sort of go at you, and then we'll just sort of bounce off each other. So that's not a good start.
Go at the table instead. That's hilarious.
We'll keep that in, bro.
Yeah, no problem.
This is real and raw.
I didn't like my phone anyway.
So the first one is attracting women, and I want to know about how you would go on how to be attractive towards women, because you're probably a bit humble to say this, but women really radiate themselves to you. So I want to know how you are attractive to women and how others can be attractive to women also.
Is that more like how to attract a woman, or is that just like how you have the sort of aura around women?
I'd say it's both. So if you can kind of give us a bit of a breakdown about how you go about it and how you think other young men should go about it.
All right. So if I saw a beautiful girl, say she's in a cafe or something, and I look up at her, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for eye contact. Because people today struggle with eye contact like crazy, like worse than ever. So I'm waiting for some eye contact, and then when they lock eyes, don't look away. This is like the number one mistake every man makes. They look at the eyes, they catch the eyes, and they look away. And it instantly makes you look like a weak bitch. Like real shit. So you have to hold it. You have to be the man, hold it. So you lock eyes, you hold it, they look away, and then you're just normal, and you catch the second time. And the second time, you just need to smash a bicep. I'm joking. But they do like biceps. Women do like biceps. But eye contact's everything. Really, really, really is.
Have you found that might come off a little bit creepy in some instances to some women?
Well, it's all about your energy, man. Like if you're just staring at someone like that's a bit weird, right? But if you're just like natural, you're doing your thing, you're having a conversation like we do, and then like you catch the contact like that. And then the second time it's like, okay, she's looking at me too. So then that gives you like permission in a way to at least approach and say, hey, like I see you in this room, like I see you out of everyone else. Like, who are you? And I'd be genuinely curious. I think like that's the number one thing. Don't go attached to an outcome. Just be curious. It's another human that maybe you can learn from, maybe you can become friends with even. Maybe you end up relationship, dating, whatever. But like, just don't have expectations to the outcome.
I think you've said that really well, and that's kind of how I go about it a lot of the time. I think when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, it's a woman, I have to get her. But actually, I just look at her as a human and treat her like that. And I feel like that takes away like, oh, he's just another creepy guy. And that kind of just takes away and makes her feel more comfortable in a setting of, this guy is just seeing me as a human, whereas most guys are just seeing me as an object.
Yeah, for sure. Don't look at her like a piece of meat. Like, definitely don't do that. That is creepy. That's weird.
And then, so that's like a scenario of how you would go about, opening a conversation with a woman or things like that. But on like a different standpoint, how would you say you have to be in order to attract the woman that you want?
Well, it goes in all areas of life, really. I think that you have to be a better version of you to attract better things. Like I always joke around and say I've not met my best friends in life yet because I'm not the best Ashley yet. You know, I'm not like my most highest level evolved, like best human I can possibly be in life. So how could I possibly be in the realm of energy to even attract those people? And it's the same for girls, I think. So I think a lot of people end up in a relationship too early. They just get into the routine and then they stay in it forever because it's comfortable, right? Instead of what generally happens, especially if you're entrepreneurial, like you end up growing and maybe she just does what she always did and then you have nothing in common after 3 years.
So I'm sort of saying like you're saying you need to become the best version of yourself.
For sure.
And so what is the best version of somebody? What should that look like? Because for me, there's three main key points for me, and you're welcome to challenge me on this. But I think that every man should be in shape, okay? And everyone has different definitions of what in shape is. Mine is like shredded inside out.
Yeah, peeled.
Peeled, walking around like a statue. I think you should have your money on point. Or it doesn't need to be like, you don't need to be, driving Lambos like you, but you need to have security to make a woman feel comfortable and believe in you that you can sort of support what she's doing so she doesn't have to worry. And also I think you need to have a strong mind, but I think a strong mind and a strong body, all those three, they go together. So I think if you can have like a strong body, a strong mind, and a strong bank account, I think that's really genuinely an attractive trait for women. And not even like, oh, women are gold diggers, but I think it's more of like a security standpoint for women to feel comfortable to be attracted to you because they know that you've probably sacrificed a lot to get to where you need to be. So it shows you're quite disciplined and regimented and focused and not just a bum that's trying to just go through the motions and do all stupid things in life. You're genuinely serious about your life. And I think that comes off as aura, like you said before, and makes you a lot more attractive to women.
Yeah, I think what you said there is important as well as discipline. Like without discipline, you don't really have any of those things. It's like, so you say about being in shape, I fully agree with you. I have waves of being in shape and he lets me know every day about it. As all good friends should. But there's a statistic now where it's like, it's easier to make $1 million than it is to have a six-pack on average in America. Which is crazy, right? It's like more people have $1 million than six-packs. So it's like, yeah, be in shape. It's like, it's a good start. Like women are obviously attracted to a man that's in shape, not like someone that's not. And I think, yeah, it translates into lack of discipline, lack of security. Like he's not like prioritizing the right things in life. But you said also about like security, not from a gold digger standpoint, but I think emotional security is probably more important than financial security. It's more like no matter what, this girl's safe. I got her. Like we could be homeless, but like she's homeless with me. Like I got her.
And do you think a woman in this modern day is willing to do that and be homeless with you? Like let's say, for example, let's say you were in a decent relationship, decent income, you're both doing well, and then next minute you're homeless. Do you think that changes anything?
I think it changes a lot, yeah. But it's like how strong is your foundation built? So it's like you got Conor McGregor, like him or hate him for what he's done now. Like go way back. He was fighting and fighting and fighting. His woman was working. He was like, he had such a big dream that like he knew he was going to be this megastar, and he was, right? He did it all. But she was there when he had nothing. He was on the dole. Like he was getting welfare checks. And then obviously the polarization switched, but they just had this bond and this team that, is unbreakable. So I think, yeah, the right people, the right person, there's 8 billion people. There's going to be one that's for you if you're in like if you're looking for one person forever. It's like, yeah, you're going to find it, but maybe it's not the person that was in your town that you were just luckily born in, but you had no choice over. It's like, if you believe in energy and like consciousness, it's like, why would you attract the person on this massive ass world in your little town? Like, why are they there? They're probably somewhere else, They're probably doing the things that you like to do. I like to travel. I like to do nice things. It's like, they're probably not back in the valleys of Wales.
I can relate. I mean, when I was younger and I was in my hometown, my people, and I had a girlfriend, I was like, she is the one.
Yeah.
But then when I started to see the world outside of that, it was like, oh, hang on a minute. There's a lot more to the world than what I thought there was.
Yeah.
So
you meet all sorts of different people doing different things. But like whenever I go back to Wales, which is not often, it's like, whoa, nothing actually changed. So it's like, I could never date. And it's not I couldn't date a Welsh woman. It's just I couldn't date like a normal person back where I'm from because I'm not a normal person. Like I've left, like I'm extraordinary. I've just gone and done a lot of other things, but I only really attract extraordinary women too. It's like, I probably, because I'm not just energetically there, it's like I've gone through the levels to be there, which is important. I think that like you'll attract what you put out.
Definitely. Love it.
When you
Really
say
good.
about discipline, it's like if you don't have discipline, if you don't wake up at a good time in the morning, if you're sleeping till 1 p.m., sorry, and you're going to sleep at 4 a.m. every day, it's like you instantly set yourself up to lose in all other areas of life. And I think it will always, if you have someone that you want to be your life partner, it's like, are they going to be happy with that? Are they happy with you staying up on your laptop, like grizzing out till 4 a.m. every single day? Or do you set better like disciplines and you're like, okay, 6 o'clock we're off. On Tuesday we do date night. It's like we do this thing, and then like we have actual real life conversations. You look at each other. You don't just sit there and doom scroll in bed next to each other. Like all these things are important.
I think right now, most men are bums, personally. I think what you just said is most men staying up till 4 a.m., doom scrolling, doing dumb shit. I think most men are bums, and I think it's never been easier to be an attractive man in this modern day. And I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying like 10% of the men are sleeping with 90% of the women.
Yeah, I believe it.
And that's true, but I don't think it's that hard to be in that top 10% of man. It's really not.
No, just
Get
don't
fit,
be fat.
Yeah. Have some money, right? Build a strong mind, build a strong foundation. Stop staying up and doing dumb shit, and you'll be amazed at how many more women you'll attract. But I just don't get it, because there's so many people stuck in this cycle of constantly doing what you said before and undisciplined. But it's not that hard. It's really easy. Like if you're in a bad state, you could literally start tomorrow. You could wake up tomorrow and go, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to wake up early. Tomorrow I'm going to do a class at the gym. Tomorrow I'm going to smash out all my work. And you've literally just completely changed everything around from what you were previously doing. But people are so stuck in that cycle.
Yeah, and I think people actually want that, but they rely on motivation. And motivation's really temporary, and it doesn't actually become discipline. You have to like have a really strong why. Like, why do I not want to be fat anymore? Why do I actually want to be healthy? Why do I even want a relationship? It's like people don't think about why they want anything in life. They just wake up and do the day.
I think you got to feel enough pain towards it.
Yeah, that happened to me, right?
Yeah.
Like one of our mutual friends said something to me like years ago. I was 130 kilos, real fat. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be lean this year. Don't worry about that. Like, I'm good. And he was like, Ash, you won't, bro. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, you just haven't been through enough pain yet. And I was like, that stuck with me for years. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to show this motherfucker. Like, don't worry, like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And that was actually the moment for me where it's like, okay, I'm not going to be fat anymore. Like, I'm done. Like, I'll never be fat again, you know?
Good. Moving on, pain is still there, and we're going to go deep into it. So I want to talk about overcoming heartbreak and maybe something from your past that you can give to others, and you maybe tell a heartbreak story and how you got over it to get to where you are now and sort of where it put you, if you have sort of a story about that.
Okay, so heartbreak, had a few of those. But yeah, one of my things that I was, I guess, sabotaging the progress of my life with, in a way, is that I would have a breakup, and because I'm so free, I can be anywhere in the world at any time. No one can tell me what to do. I don't have a boss, and I had one for like 12 years. It's like, I just leave. It's like, so I just get on a plane, and I go somewhere fun, and I do some fun shit with some fun people. And then it's like, okay, so it's kind of like masking it, but you know, it never really fixes anything. And like, you almost attract that same pain in the next woman that you meet. It's really, really bizarre in a way. It's like unless you heal these things that you carry within you, it's like you're going to just find it in someone else every single time, next person that you meet. So like heartbreak story as such, I mean, like
how have you overcome a heartbreak in your past?
So it starts with being better, like just being better, me accepting responsibility. So I had 3 girlfriends that cheated on me in a row. And I was like, oh,
that's your fault.
Yeah, it is. But like, I didn't know that when I was younger, right? And I was thinking like, fuck, how do I keep getting this? Like, what have I done? Why me? Why me? Victim to me sort of thing. But then it's like, oh, I'm just clearly attracting this. Like, it can't be 3 people in a row. Whereas there's something probably from my childhood with my mother or something like that, where, you know, there's an abandonment, there's attracting this type of woman, someone that cheats, right? So then I had to, you know, do a lot of work. I've done years of therapy, actually, lots of different types, even like woo-woo types, you know, like plant medicine or whatever. But it's like when you finally let go of the feeling that someone's going to leave you, someone's going to cheat on you, it's like you suddenly just instantly attract better. And also another thing is like, I think, it's a side tangent a little bit, but a lot of people stay in the wrong relationship. Women are amazing at it. Like they sort of, and I'd love to know in the comments if you disagree or agree with this, but I feel like women know like a year before they're going to break up with someone.
I think it's both, you know, and I say that because you emotionally check out of a relationship before you check out of a relationship.
Yeah.
I have done that. I know women have done that. And you can see it in the energy of it. But a lot of the time, the hardest thing is to call it and say, you know what, we need to split. And, you know, once you've emotionally checked out, but it's hard to say we should leave because you've still got that attachment towards them, right?
Yeah, well, you're losing your best friend.
Yeah.
It's literally like a death of a future.
That's what I was going to say. Do you feel as though someone dying in your life that's close to you and a breakup are similar feelings?
They're the same. Like you still mourn. You go through the 5 stages. It's like it sucks.
Yeah.
Every single time it sucks. Sometimes it's faster. If you've been with someone 1 month, probably easier.
So what would you do and what sort of advice would you give to someone going through a heartbreak? The question is, what would you do to get yourself, what have you done in the past to get yourself through a heartbreak apart from you said you run away and you travel and you go do fun stuff? But what advice would you give to someone that can't do that and are going through a breakup in their town, and I guess they have to see him on social media and see him in person and things like that?
Yeah. Read a book called The Way of the Superior Man. That's a fantastic place to start.
Read it twice.
everything is about you. Like your successes in life, your failures in life, your relationships in life, they're all on you. Like it's up to you. Like if you think about every single outcome you've ever had in your life and you made it like a diagram, mind map type thing, like you're the center of every single one of them. Like it didn't happen without you. Like everything is your responsibility, and I think you should have radical ownership of that. So I think, one, read that book and really read that book. Like, don't just blast through it and scroll Instagram and watch Netflix. Like, actually read that book because it makes you a better man. And I was actually recommended it by a girl. And it was like one of the best book recommendations. And I've said it to so many people like that have difficulties in relationships or struggle to stay in a relationship or struggle to understand polarity in relationships. It's like when you understand like what a superior man, like you said how easy it is to be in the top 10% of men. Yeah. I really agree. Mm-hmm. I think that like anything in life, if you do 10 hours, you're in the top 5%. Like,
definitely.
Like actually statistically, 10 hours of anything puts you better than 95% of the world. So that's the first thing I'd do. I'd read that book. Second thing, like Nick said, I would be going to a gym. Like take it out in the gym. If you really, like I don't personally enjoy like gym workouts as much. I like martial arts. I like sports.
It's working out though. It's the same, you know.
Workout. But just go in and just take whatever this energy is, channel it from here to, I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to be on my phone. I'm just going to do 1 hour of like hard work and I'm just going to look better and feel better at the end of it. So read the book, go to the gym, sleep. Definitely prioritize sleep.
That's the hardest thing though, isn't it?
Yeah, you go to bed.
When you're heartbroken, you can't sleep.
Yeah, you have an amazing day. You get to bed, you close your eyes like, oh my God, I fucking feel it all over again. And one of my friends said this to me. He said a long time ago now, he goes, just find a playlist of the most like brutal songs, and you just need to sit and feel it. Listen to the words of all these like heartbreak songs, and I think women do that a lot, right? It's like
they do
like a lot, but no men do that.
No, absolutely not.
I don't know any men that.
I think women do that a lot.
Justin Bieber at night. Like
it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I've had some of my exes that perhaps I've keeping in touch with over the years. Yeah. They've said to me, this is the song I used to listen to when we broke up, and it's like this sad song, you know. So they do that, but we don't. We just try and mask it with other things. From my own experience, when I was younger and I went through a heartbreak, it felt like the woman died, and it felt like you said, I lost my best friend, and it was the worst. But I had no idea what to do. I didn't have a big brother saying, do this, this, and this. I was just completely lost. And
I think there's a lot of like good in that. I think that I think you need to feel.
You
have to actually feel it to even be able to then grow through it to then know how to manage things.
I do, but I also think it's really good to have direction. And this is why I wanted to do this podcast, because I want someone to watch this and listen to it and think, that's what I need to do. Because for me, I felt lost. And because I was so young, I didn't want to talk to anyone about it because it was like, no, I broke up with her. When in reality, she broke up with me. But because that's what we're like when we're younger. It's the ego thing, right? And so when I was younger, it was like that. But then I did it a few times and I got a bit better at it. And, you know, I think one of my breakups like a few years ago, that was probably the best one. Because when I was in the relationship, I really tried to push it. and I was emotionally drained. I was out of shape. I was broke. I let the relationship dominate me. I let her lead the relationship. And eventually that led the relationship to ending. And that was probably what I needed, because that was the kick up the ass I needed to become better. So what I did is I woke up the next day, I did my cardio, I went to the gym, I did my work, I pushed. I got on the Stairmaster, an hour each morning, even when my legs didn't feel like it, because I feel like that's what set me up to become better. And it was hard, man. And I had to I just hung out with my boys, isolated myself, got fit, made some more money. And eventually within 3 months, I was attracting better people. I had better friends and I had a better network. And I completely forgot about that girl. And then about 6 months later, I saw her and she was in my messages. And it was like, oh, now I could respond here and maybe have another go on the merry-go-round, or I could just leave her on red.
It's so true, man. Like, I feel that one thing that I've struggled with in my life is the repetitive cycles of break up, get back together, break up, get back together. It's different this time. I've done work, she's done work. It's like, I kind of think that an ending should be an ending a lot of the times. And it's hard as fuck. It's always the worst thing.
It's the worst, man. I agree.
It comes down to mindset, like being able to be comfortable, being uncomfortable, and like being able to, let go of this. Like, I had a great time with this girl, because as men, we're like obsessive. Like, I think like no one wants to imagine another man with your girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, right? It's a horrible thing, and every man thinks that, I tell you. But it's like, you have to be...
But the truth is, as soon as you break up with your girl, I don't care what you say, she's already got other men in her DMs that she's already been lining up, and I guarantee the day you break up with her, most likely she's going to sleep with that man. So that's what you need to be prepared for. I'm sorry to say that.
He knows I disagree with that.
He does disagree with that, but I have to say that because that is 100% factual, and you need to know that.
I think girls have men in the DMs. I think a lot of good girls won't sleep with them. Like, I think that a lot of good girls will do what we do. Like, they better themselves. How do you become the woman to attract the man?
Well, they get spiteful, though. They get revengeful, I think. And I think our best revenge is to just become so good that they think, shit, I shouldn't have let him go. And that's what I find. And that's what I find has worked for me and some of the other guys around me. But I do agree with what you're saying, but I think that's a very small minority of women.
But you're also in the small minority of men, would you not say?
Yeah, you could say that. I could say I'm in the top 10%, right?
Yeah, so if you're attracting the 90%, how do you expect to get the 10?
Yeah, it's probably true, man.
Yeah, so it's like, I think that there are the 10 out there. I think there are a lot of wonderful women out there. I think there are a lot of growth-minded, not gold diggers, not only money-obsessed type women. The issue is like, we're here in places like Dubai. Dubai is not really known for its like great dating scene. It's known for like transient money exchange. Like, you live in Thailand, obviously, maybe it's different there, but it's like, there's different cultures for sure around dating. There's different pockets, and like, we put ourselves right now into a pocket of ultra wealthy people. Everyone around you is richer than you. Everyone's more successful. People more lean. It's like, you go to the gyms here, Binu's gym. It's like, oh shit, I'm the smallest, fattest guy in the gym. It's like, oh wait, I go back to Wales and actually I look alright.
I'm massive. Yeah, it's true.
But it's like, you're almost putting yourself in the new pond.
Yeah.
And in that new pond, you are going to attract different tiers of people.
Yeah. I've got a question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond?
It's a great question. I think I've done both. Because like in the UK, I've had like 2 Lamborghinis. I've done all this flash stuff. Everyone's like, whoa, it's the only Lambo in the city. It's really cool. And you get like validation from kids, which is not what I ever imagined. No girl gives a fuck. Not one single girl gives a fuck. You're there revving, like making sure you have some like low gear, high revs as you're driving past like some girls, and they're just talking to each other like, what? And then other guys are like, yeah. It's just like, you attract school kids or men. Yeah. Like, so like, I felt like, oh, this is going to be the coolest thing ever.
So actually, that was you being the big fish in the small pond.
Yeah, in the small pond. And then I come to places like Dubai, where I've traveled like a lot of the world now. But I come back to Dubai every time because I feel like this is where I actually grow, because I am the small fish. Like, I'm not even a fish. I'm like whatever baby fish it's called.
Yeah.
I'm just a newborn fish. And it's like, I go to the Waldorf Astoria, I like the top floor, to sit there, have a coffee. And just last week, I was with a friend. And the guy behind me was shouting at this real estate dude. And I thought, this rude motherfucker, like, oh, he's pissing me off. And then the guy goes, look, brother, do you know how many 350 million dirham villas sell a year? because he was annoyed that his Villarant soldier. And I was thinking, like, 350 fucking, what's this guy do?
Yeah,
I'm thinking, like, this is a conversation
It's
that's
next
just
level.
there, sat behind my chair, annoying me because he was loud. And I think, like, you ain't getting that in most cities.
Yeah.
You ain't getting that in most places in the world. So it's like, this is the biggest of the ponds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's like, even if you're a medium-sized fish in this pond,
Still a small fish.
yeah, you're a small fish compared to here, but then anywhere else in the rest of the world,
You're a whale.
you're the whale. Yeah, you're the killer whale.
It's great. It's great to know that. Great to know that. So let's move on to another topic in relationships. And I don't think this one will be too long, but it'll be interesting to hear your perspective on it. But when it comes to a relationship between a man and a woman from your experiences, who should be leading that relationship and why?
Okay, so for me, there's not even a question, really. Like, the man has to lead. You are the man. Like,
Why?
Why? Because it's built in our evolution. We're supposed to be providers, protectors, like, and, you know, we go out, we hunt, or hunted back in the day, brought food home, we protected the woman, all this sort of stuff. Today is definitely a weird world, especially in the Western sort of countries. Like Dubai, you don't see it. You don't really see it. Like, you never see some, like, the ultra independent women here. It's not really as, like, prominent. Women here are like, I like men. And yeah, they do want a lot of wealthy men, but Dubai's a place of wealthy men. So it's like, I've always joked around with girls when I've traveled and met them, and they're saying about their hardship and things. I'm like, if I was a pretty girl, I'd just move to Dubai. That's all I would do. Like,
I think deep down, every woman wants a male leading them and guiding them through the way. And a lot of that, I think, probably stems from the evolution of their father in their life.
lack of, yeah.
Lack of, that's what I was going to get to. I think that a lot of women that I've known that have terrible relationships with their father end up having terrible relationships with their spouse. I think the ones that have a great relationship with their father have great relationships with their spouse.
Do you think it's the same for men with their mother then?
I don't know. I personally wouldn't know, if I'm being honest.
I think it is.
Okay.
I think that, like, if you didn't have a loving, nurturing relationship with your mother, you could probably take that out on women or attract that in women, like cold women.
Okay.
Cold women that don't show much affection.
And what makes you say that?
That's my experience of life, right? Like, but I've also had very loving women, like very, very, very loving. But that's because I had to become better. But, like, when I say I used to attract cheating people, it was like they were cold. And it was like, actually a therapist told me, she was like, "You sounds like you describe your mother." And I was like, "What? That sounds a bit
My mum's cheating on me?
Yeah, that sounds a bit weird. Well, yeah, that's a whole different story. Like, not with me, but my dad maybe. But, like, yeah, so it's like, oh, wait, I am attracting, like, a lot of the things I hate in my mum. And it's like, as humans, we tend to focus so much on what we dislike about our parents that we become it.
And you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the mirror is that you receive that for sure.
So, okay, good. So we both agree that men should be the leaders in the relationship.
Have to be.
But I also think that's one of the most attractive traits that a man can have, is being a strong leader. And I think women naturally gravitate towards that. I've been in relationships where I've had the woman leading the relationship and they led that all the way to the end of it very fast. But then when I've been in the leadership position and I've been my best self, that relationship's gone really well.
And do you think that if you were mid-relationship and you were aware of that, do you think the dynamic could have shifted? Or
Aware of what scenario?
That you're, like, let's say there's a masculine dynamic, there's a feminine dynamic. She's leading more of the masculine, you're more of the receiving feminine. It's like, do you believe that you could see that for what it is real time, be like, wait, no, this isn't like what I fully align with. This isn't right. This isn't how it should be. Can it reverse? Can you change the polarity in that relationship?
I think once you've set the foundations from the beginning, it's very difficult to change it halfway through. I think that if you've gone into a relationship in the beginning and you're like, I'm leading this relationship, you don't have to say it like that, but the dynamic, I'm leading this relationship, this is the way it's going to be, this is what I expect, then I think it's going to continue that way. But I think if you are somebody, and I've done this in the past, where I haven't sort of set the precedents and I've let the woman kind of decide how it's going to be, then it's very difficult to then halfway through the relationship or a few months down the track start to say, well, actually, this is how it's going to be, and I'm putting my foot down, because she's not going to respond well to that. Because it's almost like, I think at the beginning of any relationship with a woman, whether that's some sort of a friendship or relationship, you've got to set the expectations of what you expect and what you expect of her, and you got to listen to her as well. but then you've got to lead that dynamic through it. And I think if you don't do that, you're going to set yourself up for a massive failure, because when she wants you to be the leader, but you haven't set that from the beginning, it's only going to be a problem for you both.
I agree with you fully on that, but there's, I think most people in the world are already mid-relationship.
That's a fact. So, because I can relate to that totally.
So what would you say to someone that's in the middle of a relationship where they may be listening to this and they're thinking, you know what, like my girl does make all the plans. Maybe she does pay too much. Like maybe she is doing this and I'm kind of like just following a little bit in the wind. It's like, what would you do to someone? What would you say to someone that is in that dynamic right now and thinks, you know what, this girl's worth, like this is what I want, but how do I make the polarity change? How do I make the dynamic change? How do I become the man where she gets a step more into the feminine, and then as a byproduct, they'll receive more love, more care, more nurturing, more great things that women bring to relationships.
So I think if you're in the middle of your relationship and you haven't set the precedents like you said, and she's more of the masculine role, you're more of the feminine role, I don't think you should say anything. I think it's very difficult to change the dynamic. But what I would say to my friend who's in that position, you've just got to do it subtly and slowly. And if she's making the decisions 10 times a week, you start to make them 2 times a week and kind of see how she responds. And I think you've got to do that subtly. And I think that's really the only way to do it. But I think if you just set the precedents from the beginning, I think you're not going to have that problem. But the guy, like you said, that is in the middle of it and doesn't really know how to go forward, I think he's just got to do it subtly. I think if he just completely 180s and puts his foot down, he's like, this is the way it's going to be, she ain't going to respond well to that, bro.
I think you're right. I think that's a really good step for anyone listening that's in that sort of situation. I also think subtle, like when you say subtle, you could say things like, I really like when you wear that dress, or I really like when you make dinner for us, or I really like when you do XYZ feminine thing.
Yeah, not saying wear that dress, just saying I like when you wear that dress. Because
that gets taken, especially in Western countries, the whole sort of, I want you to wear this dress at 8 o'clock, we're going out. Say that to a Russian, they're like, yes, I'm in. I love it.
I do that with women now from the beginning, and they really respond well to it.
But are they Western world women, or are they...
All women.
Okay.
All women. Doesn't matter where they're from. Really doesn't. But you can't just be like, yo, put that on, we're going there. It's been like, you know what, tonight I want to go here at this time and I'd like you to dress very sexy. Can you do that
so
for
that's
me?
more broad, right? It's more about telling someone I want you to wear that dress. Oh, I bought you this dress, wear that. That sort of thing is a true masculine, but a lot of people are like, who's this man telling me what I can wear and what I can't wear? You got to word it properly. Yeah, so right? it's about doing these things incrementally and more subtly, like Nick was saying. I think that's important. But then eventually, I believe the dynamic can shift if worked on.
If you do it properly.
Yeah,
and you can't be an asshole about it. That's what I believe.
Yeah, you're going to get resistance, right? You're going to be met with some kind of resistance, over time. Not everything's just going to flow. It's like running into a window over and over and over again when there's an open door here, and then eventually you sort of go, oh, I'll go through this door. And then it's like, oh, wait, what's out there? You're gonna be met with random shit you didn't expect.
Bottom line, set the precedents from the beginning of what you expect and what she expects in a relationship, and then you can set the dynamics so you don't have to do it in the future further down the track when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, 100%. And if you're 30 years old and she's 30 years old or 32 or 33 or so, and you're thinking kids at this point, maybe say that early too. Don't go through 6 months of we're seeing if we're kind of figuring it out. It's hey, this is what I want. I want 3 kids. I'm certain on that. I got a friend who wants 8. And he struggles with relationship because of that. But it's I just want 8 kids. I'm a single, he's a lonely child. He's I want to he said he feels like he's doing God a disservice by not having more of him.
Are you talking about me?
No, not you, but I guess, a lot of men think that way. Whereas I'm neutral on the whole kids thing. I'm not pro or against. I'm not really that bothered.
You're 31, right? Okay, I'm 36. And when I was 31, I was exactly the same as you. Okay. I was very neutral about it. Now I'm I want it. And it's because I've seen... So I went to a funeral about 6 months ago for an older woman that used to work for me. And going to that funeral and seeing hundreds of her family there giving her a send-off was so beautiful.
I bet.
Whereas I thought to myself, I know people that are that age that have no kids, no family. And when they go, they're just going to have a few mates sitting around drinking a few beers. And I think that's really sad. So seeing that for me, I think there's certain things in life that happen and you see things and it makes you change your perspective. But for me, that sort of changed my perspective, seeing that funeral and her having, she had like 8 children and her children had children. And there was just a huge family of cousins and all that. And I thought, wow, I mean, that's what I'd want.
And is that because obviously you're dead at this point? It's like you don't actually know or even see that.
No, but it's beautiful when she's alive.
Yeah. So it would be about the transition of life being about you and being about other people.
Yes, but it was the whole thing of seeing that which opened my eyes towards it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. So there's something else I want to talk about, and I've done this, and I'm sure you have too, and it will never happen to me again. But I think a lot of guys, when they get into a relationship, they lose their edge. They get fat. They get complacent. They get sluggish, and the dynamic changes in a relationship. So why do men lose their edge in a relationship, and how do you combat that?
Comfort is one, right? It's like, oh, what should we do tonight? Let's watch Netflix and eat 6 cookies. Like, it's like, that's the first thing. Is like, we get too comfortable. We don't feel like we're trying to win the girl anymore. We already won. So it's like, if you're not having to, it's like waking up at 5 a.m. to do a 10 kilometer run, right? Or a 10-mile run. And then, you decide like, I don't need to run anymore. So you're going to gain weight. But it's like, you have to sort of like fight for this thing. There's a saying of like choosing a person. I think like the best way to choose them is to be a better you every day. Like, so that they have to fight for you too, because like you'll become this undesirable, unattainable, not undesirable, ultra desirable, unattainable thing. Like, and like I think a woman will also be attracted by women looking at you when you're walking around. And like another thing is that when you walk and you look like a power couple, it's like everyone looks at you. Like I've experienced that, and it's so cool. Like you're walking even through an airport, and you feel like, why is everyone looking at us? It's like, oh shit, it's because we're like set with high standards. Like we keep standards high and also check in with each other. It's like, hey, Nick, definitely not Nick, because Nick will never do this. Me, like, hey, Ash, you've had cookies a few times this week now. Like, maybe next week we could do like a bit less cookies. It's like, I think that comfort is what kills everything. And I think that we have to be uncomfortable whilst we're young, so then we're really comfortable when we're old, and when we provide something, like you said, to have a family of like 60. Like, and then they don't have to worry. They don't have to like sell drugs on streets.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been the guy in the past once in my whole life that got complacent in a relationship and it fell apart. And that was my moment where I was like, I'm never going to do that again. So anytime I do get in a relationship, always I try and better myself. And, if I go to the gym at 5 o'clock every day, right, when I'm single, I'm going to do the same thing in a relationship. If I need to work at this time, I'm going to do the same thing in a relationship. Yeah, there's give and takes. It's not all just regimented army style things, but I think you losing your edge in a relationship is one of the worst things that you can do, and it's only going to cause you headaches and problems, and I think that relationship will fall apart over time if you don't turn that around.
Yeah, be okay with having healthy check-ins with each other and don't take everything so emotionally and personally. Something I've always struggled with is like, I'm a water sign emotional cancer. It's like so.
What does that even mean?
My birthday, like so,
Okay.
like he always jokes around saying that like I hypnotize people with like star signs and astronomy.
Don't give away the secrets,
all
man.
this stuff, right? Because I'm I believe in like 11 spiritual, right? But yeah, like I've been known to be emotional, like annoyingly, which is like not great for like a super masculine leading man, like in a relationship. So I have to like somehow be able to have conversations with people and check in and be able to receive feedback that I'm probably not going to like, to be like, oh, hey, like I really like when you do more of this, or stop doing that. Or it's like I think when you have healthy check-ins, you set really good standards for a relationship, and it should be high standards from the start. Like you said, precedence of a relationship. It's like, I think day one, you should be like I'm trying to win you forever. Like I choose you forever. And it's like, I'm going to be the best me. And like together we become the best. Like we achieve levels that we've never been able to do on our own. Otherwise, why be with anyone? Why not just be transient and just date a million people like a lot of people do? It's like you get your power player, right? Like the one that's like got your back no matter what. And I like the people say that like codependence is a bad thing. I think it's the opposite. I think it's a really good thing. But I see it in the dynamic of like, I'm going to work, I'm doing my thing, she's doing her thing. We don't have to message every minute of the day. We don't need instant communication. It's like, if she needs me, I'm there. If I need her, she's there. It's like we got each other's back, and then we come back later. It's like no matter what, that's my girl. She's good. I don't have to think about any other man. If someone's sending her a cake in a fucking restaurant, it's like, that's my cake. Yeah. They sending me cake. Like,
sounds like you've had some experiences with that, man. Anyway, look, I got another one, and I think maybe we're going to disagree a little bit on this one, but this will be interesting to know. How important is sexual chemistry in a relationship? Well, actually, let's ask that more direct. How important is sex in a relationship?
I do think it's important. Like, I think it's definitely important. I think without it, like, you're friends. Like, I think that it makes you more of like a friend. But I think it's something that's probably the easiest thing that can be worked on in a relationship. I think that, like, if two people actively try to find each other attractive and, like I say, become better so that the other person wakes up one day and they're looking great and they're like, oh,
but this is specifically about sex.
Right.
So, like, can you, like you said, if there's no sex in the relationship, it's more like a friendship.
Yeah.
But ideally you want both. So specifically about sex, like, how important is that? Forget about all the other stuff. Like,
if I had to put on a scale and I never use the number 7, I'd say 6.
Okay.
I don't think it's like super important. I don't think I'm waking up to a 70-year-old woman that I chose 50 years ago and thinking, wow, I just want to rip your clothes off. Mm-hmm. I think it's all about the other stuff, the companionship, the other pieces of me choosing this is my life person and this is the person I ride through anything with. Mm-hmm. Then sex becomes a plus. It's like that's that extra thing that you do. But I feel love in other ways to like sex. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't always think, oh, sex is everything in life. I kind of, most of it is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, you have in your life. Like, to be fair, if you think about all the people you've ever been with, it's like you could probably think of a few that you never want again. It's like, so I think it's about something that can be developed and trained with your person, but I think it's probably a 6 out of 10 on importance.
Okay. See, I would say it's much more important for me.
Right.
And this is just from my own experience. And I think that sexual attraction in a relationship and the sex itself is so important. Is probably the two most important thing is sex and love. And I think you're right in saying that you shouldn't confuse the two. But I think if the sex is average, I think the chemistry is going to struggle. And I think that I don't think it can be worked on per se. I think it can be worked on to a degree, but I don't think it's ever going to satisfy you in the true ways that you're happy with unless you both have the same mentality from the beginning and the same sexual chemistry from the beginning. I do agree in a sense of, when you're 70 and things like that. I don't know, I'm not 70, but that sexual attraction might die. But I think when you're young, our testosterone is high, pheromones are high, estrogen is high in the woman. I think that if you guys are not having sex or don't want to have sex, I think that relationship is going to fall apart very quickly. No matter what you try outside of that or growing it together, I just don't think it can last. And some people maybe don't want to hear that, but this is why I put sex as a really important pillar in a relationship, because I think men have really high testosterone levels, and from the beginning of time, we just want to fuck everything, if I'm being blunt. But we've learned to control that. And if we're not getting the sexual needs that we want from our woman, I think that it's going to struggle going forward into the future to make that a successful relationship.
Yeah, I think they want it just as much as men, really. Like, I do think that.
They do, but
it's like this little secret every now and then you'll see on TikTok or something. It'll be like, secret that men don't know. Men want it. Women want it too. We just make you work for it. It's like they just like. I can imagine it's a both way thing, right? Like, when you meet someone and there's this crazy energy, and usually it's toxic, but we do it anyway.
Oh yeah,
but like
the toxic ones are the best ones.
So like an old therapist of mine said that, like, if you want like a really healthy long-term relationship, it's like it has to come from within you. It's not like you may have like some crazy fun with someone short-term or whatever, but it's like I said, even like 10 years into a relationship, it's like you're probably not like ripping each other's clothes off every day. It's just, well, maybe you are, like, but I've never experienced that personally. Like,
I have many times, and I've been in quite a few long-term relationships, and the sex has been on point, and I've just wanted it all the time, and she's wanted it all the time, and that's lasted for years on years on years, and it's only got more and more and more. Okay. But it's usually the relationships that are quite toxic that build that energy to make the sexual chemistry so much. So it's a balance, right, between what you want and what she wants. And I think everyone has a different, like me and you have a different like feeling on that, or a different viewpoint on that. Whereas I think sex is like so important, but you, and like, let's say you and I here, it's probably close, but it's like, yeah. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm just like, it's number one for me, man.
Yeah, for me, it's just not like, I like it, obviously, I want it, but I just think that there's so much more to a relationship than sex.
I agree. There's a lot, but I think this is, for me, is number one. Yeah. And okay, let's move on. So jealousy in relationships. So personally, talking about jealousy in relationships, I've never been a jealous type. You know, I see a lot of relationships where there's a man and a woman, and perhaps the man and the woman are walking along the street, and there's a bunch of guys looking at the girl, and then the boyfriend gets pissed off. He's like, oh, you know, you're dressing like this and stuff like that. You know, when I'm walking with a girl, if she's dressed provocatively and guys are looking at her, I'm just like, yeah, that's mine. I'm so happy with that. You know, and I try to I almost teach that to the woman that I'm with, because I've had it the same where I'm walking down the street, perhaps with my shirt off, and I'm with a woman and girls are looking at me and I can see her getting angry. And I'm like, don't be angry, be proud, because I'm with you and I'm not with them. And that's the way I see it. So have you experienced jealousy in relationships? And have you been the jealous one, or has she been the jealous one? And do you have a story or a dynamic that you could share with us?
It's heavy, but I think, yeah, both. Like, I've been jealous and they've been jealous. Like, I've definitely had both. I think jealousy is healthy. I think like that comes from the whole sort of like wanting. Like, can you imagine having a girlfriend who didn't get jealous? Like, there's a whole saying in like,
it's like, do you even care?
Yeah, in like among men, like a lot of people say like, you should be offended if a girl's okay, like hanging out with you and she's in a relationship. It's like that means your boyfriend doesn't see you as a threat, right? It's like there's a real like element of truth to that. Probably it's like he's like, oh, he's okay. He's like not like man enough to take her anyway, sort of vibe.
Would you let your girlfriend that you were really into hang out and go for coffee with another man?
So it's hard to say. So,
and like, I'm gonna give you more of a detailed question. So, this man is, let's say you're a 10 out of 10. This man's like an 8 out of 10. He's single. He's a nice guy, pretty attractive. Like, you know, they sort of laugh together. It's not flirtatious, but it's a little bit.
Right.
Would you let your girlfriend hang out with that guy?
Did she know him before I existed?
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like if like people are friends in their own dynamics, right? It's like some people, I've had plenty of girlfriends that aren't girlfriends, they're just actual friends, female platonic friends that I've never done anything with, never wanted to, they never wanted to with me. Like, it just happens. Whoa.
Keep going.
It's true. Like, so I have a lot of like female friends. Like, I think I connect really well with women very fast. Like, I'm not just this guy who's just like, ugh. Like, I'm just like a super emotional, deep type of person. It's like, it's true, right?
Yeah.
So, wow.
I'm just laughing because I know you and I've got something to say, but I want to let you finish.
Say it.
So you say, well, that was going to be the next topic we get up to, but about, can men and women really be friends? Now, you can be friends with a woman, but I think, from what I see, is the women that you're friends with, they want to sleep with you. So is that really a friendship?
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion on that. But it's like,
I've mostly been right. Most of the times I've said that.
But
would you say?
Like, so I've got like female friends from years and years and years ago, right? So it's like they're not all in Dubai or like here. It's like they're in different countries. But generally I think that I think we choose people based on the way they look initially. So maybe there's the initial like, oh, I'm going to be friends with that girl because she's pretty, or she's like, I'm going to be friends with that guy because he's big and strong. It's like, I think there's an element of truth in that. I don't think we just think, oh, this person I find really unattractive, I'm going to befriend them. I think there's an element of something. Like, I don't know if that's the relationship-y or like with an intent to seek that at some point. But I do believe everyone can be actual friends. Like, and I think you have to, like anything, set the boundary of that. Like,
I just think from my own experience personally and what I've seen, I just don't think it lasts. And I think that there's always one side that has some sort of an attraction to the other in a platonic friendship between a man and a woman.
I think a lot of times, I agree. I don't think all the time. I think, again, you have to just set it, and it depends on, like, are they in a relationship? Are you in a relationship as well? Like, when you meet, like, there's a lot of, like, factors
which makes
to it.
that person more attractive because they're in a relationship, because it's almost like
They're
what you can't have.
Yeah,
so everyone wants what they can't have, right? So can men and women really be friends? We probably differ on this. I think that I have women that I'm friendly with. Yeah. I have women that I'm acquaintance with. I have women that I really like as friends. But would I call them the same as I call you? And would I say, let's hang out and go and eat and stuff like that? Probably not.
Yeah, so I'm the complete opposite. So,
I know.
Like, say I'm in a relationship or something, and I want to understand the girl's perspective of a disagreement that I just don't see. I'll call up a girl, and I'll say, like, hey, this is, like, my view on the thing. Like, this is what she believes to be true. Like, I just can't get my head around that. And then a girl is often very much like, oh, yeah, I think the same as her. Like, you're dumb. And then, like, they explain it in a way that's, like, not emotionally charged because it's not about them. So I think that it's nice to have inputs from both.
I agree. And that's not really a friend, though. Like, I've got girls that I would call to ask questions like that, but I wouldn't be like, hey, let's go and hang out at this place today and get coffee and stuff like that. Like, because when I've tried to be friends with women, there's always either myself that wants to then go after them, or they want to go after me.
Do you think that's because you prioritize sex so much?
It could be. It could be an element of it. And so
I don't think about that. Like,
I know
when I'm out with a woman, I'm just having a coffee and we're just chatting shit.
Yeah, but I'm the same. I'm the same. I'm not thinking I just want to bang her, but I wouldn't hang out with a woman the same way I'd hang out with you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they wouldn't do the same with us either. Like,
I think they would, though. I think women do want that, because I think that, and I don't mean to sound like a dick, but we add a lot more value to them than they add to us.
Okay, elaborate.
And so we give them a sense of, like, male perspective, which is very straight and direct. We'll tell women the truth. Other women don't tell other women the truth. They'll sit there and go, no, it's okay, you're right, no matter what it is. And we'll sit there and we'll go, nah, you're wrong. And so I think that that's why we can tell women a lot of the truth that they don't want to hear, but other women won't do that. So I think that that's where we add a lot more value than what they add to us.
Yeah, I do think there's definitely, from what I've heard, like, women lie to each other. They'll be like,
all the time.
They'll be like, oh, your hair looks great, but really they're like...
And then behind their back, like, your hair looks so shit.
Yeah, I don't really understand that, but we're not women. So I don't know. But yes, it's interesting to, like, hear and learn your side of things, because in the whole time I've known you, you've never just gone for, like, a coffee with someone, but the whole time you've known me, I've probably done 100. it's like I just go for a coffee with someone, we just chat about life. I'm not necessarily thinking, like, where does this go now? It's like,
but does that last?
Well, yeah,
or
like,
does it turn into something else?
So it's done both, right? Like, things of, like,
majority.
I think it's honestly probably less relationship-y. Like, so it's more friends have stayed friends, because, like, I mean, you can't have that many relationships or, like, dating. But, like, I think also there's an element of, like, the controversy in that is it not great to be in a relationship with someone that you've known 6 years, you know everything about, you've gone through the whole friendship wave. It's like, you know what? I actually want you.
But usually there's an element of unattractive, not full attractiveness from that. Like, are you saying if you've been friends with someone for 6 years and then you start dating them, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's a really good thing?
I
do think that's a really good thing. But I also think that, well, why haven't you been dating for those last 6 years? Because there's an element that you're unattracted to that person.
Maybe. Or you've been doing your own things, you're in different countries, it's like... They've always been there, but the timing isn't right. They're more, maybe you're more career focused.
But then that's not really a friend. That's more of an acquaintance, would you say?
Nah, because, like, if you're, like, super driven, like, men build, right? Men build themselves to wherever they get. It's like, if you're in, like, this year I'm not dating. I'm all in business mode. I'm doing this. I'm going to get really lean. I'm going to compete. I'm going to do whatever XYZ thing. It's like, where does a girl fit in that?
She doesn't.
Yeah, she doesn't, right? So, but she might have been open to a relationship at that point. But it's like, I think timing does matter. A lot of people say, like, the timing doesn't matter. It's like the person matter. Yeah. I think it does. And I think every man I know who says it does. Every woman disagrees. Like, they disagree. They're like, right person, anytime.
Nah.
And I think it's like right person, right time.
Yeah, because we're constantly evolving as humans. And so timing is everything in a sense of 5 years ago, I'm not the same person I was today. 5 years ago, this girl wasn't the same person as she is today. But then somehow we've aligned at that 5 year later mark and we've sparked that attractiveness. So I do massively agree with that. Okay, final topic of today. Are you ready for this?
What is it?
Is it better to be single or be in a relationship, and why?
Oh, in a relationship, no doubt.
Why?
I think that it's all about like having your person where you don't have to. So I know a friend recently in a relationship. He's been on dating apps like 10 years. And I'm like, bro, like my future wife isn't on those. Like I wouldn't even use them. So, and he's always, every day, like wakes up on a dating app, middle of the day, dating app. Anytime of procrastination, dating app. And I'm just thinking like, this is not healthy. Like this is terrible. Like it's really, really, really shit. But I think that being in an actual relationship with one person, the person you wake up to every day, you eliminate all of that dating idea, the what if, so wait, I'm feeling old today, or any of that stuff. It's like you have your person, she's there, you can rely on each other for certain things, you can get like all the intimacy you want. Like I think that it's the ultimate teammate. And I think like, and I traveled to like 53 countries, right? It's like a lot of them I did alone. Any country I went to with someone was a better memory. Like you get to do more stuff with people. I think people make places worth visiting versus just, you know, another pretty mountain somewhere.
Yeah.
And I choose my person like always to do that. Like I would always want like a relationship over being single. But I do think that you have to have a relationship with yourself for a period too. I think that's important. So you could call that single, I say relationship to self. But I had so many years of relationships with other people and none with myself. Yeah. So then it was like I had to choose to have a relationship with myself, which is where you build, you become better, you do better business, you do better everything. And then you attract a better woman. Because the woman's also in her life been doing the same thing to attract a better man. Mm-hmm. What about you? What do you think on that?
It's an interesting one because I've probably evolved through that. I would have said, 7 or 8 years ago, nah, it's better to be single. But I think it's much better to be in a relationship with someone than to be single. When you're in a relationship with someone, you can focus more on doing things to better yourself. Whereas most of the time when I've been single, all I spend time doing is chasing women. But when I'm in a relationship, I've shut that down. So I'm then focused on things like my fitness. I'm always focused on fitness, but business and really important things that are going to grow my life going forward. So I would say that being in a relationship is much better than being single. But being in a toxic relationship, it's so much better to be single because that toxic relationship will bury your mind and everything you're trying to achieve.
I agree, but you got to remember you're also half the toxic.
You are, yeah, definitely.
So
you both contribute to it.
Yeah.
And so that's the really difficult part. You and I both know loads of people that are in a really toxic relationship where they just do the stupidest things, and we've both been in that relationship. Mm-hmm. And it just ruins everything else in your life. It ruins your money. It ruins your health. You get fat. You get miserable. You're constantly snapping. Your mind is all over the place all the time. And so I would say being single would be better in that instance. You'd have to cut it, go through the heartbreak, be single, build that relationship with yourself. But I think being in an awesome relationship with a woman is the most powerful thing that you can do. As long as your dynamic fits with each other, you can then focus on the really important things of getting in shape, making money, getting a strong mind, and really building together to make an incredible future.
I agree. I think you need some heartbreaks to even know what you want. Like, how do you really know what you want unless you've experienced what you don't want? It's like you have to go through these toxic relationships or really healthy relationships, like to find pros and cons of each thing. And it's like, okay, this is my like person by design. This is who I'm going to bring into my life. And then, when you have a breakup or something, you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to meet anyone like her. And then like literally you look up in a cafe, you lock eyes with someone, starts again. Like,
it's such a fact. It's such a fact. Like anytime I've sort of been with a woman and we broke up, and I'm upset about it, it's like, I feel like I'm never going to find a woman who was that good. But I go away, I make myself a little bit better, I make myself a little bit fitter, I make myself a little bit smarter. And eventually I think to myself, I find a new woman who's so much better. And then I think to myself, I can't believe I thought that way.
Yeah, relief. You get the relief of like, wow, I'm proud of myself for letting that be what it was. You get to cherish the great times, and it's like, okay, we can leave it at that. We grow. She's someone else's now, like I'm someone else's now. And it's like, cool. Like my responsibility after making the decision to break up is just to have a great life.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no right or wrong, stay or don't. It's like, it's just your choice to make a great life from that decision, I think. And then, yeah, you will attract great things.
Love it. So let's wrap this up. I'm going to wrap this up on a final note. I'll start, but do you have any message for anyone out there, whether that's in a relationship, going through a heartbreak, or something positive you want to share? I'll start so I can give you some time to maybe think about that. But just one final message for everyone out there who watched this, who's interested in this. My message goes back to the beginning. And I think that for you to become the most attractive man, you have to prioritize your vision, your goals, your dreams over chasing women. And I'm talking to the younger version of myself. The younger version of myself would only focus on getting notches on my belt or spinning plates or whatever you want to call it. But that probably put me years behind in my own progress. So if I could go back and really tell my younger self like a big brother, I would say, chase my own happiness, chase my own success, chase my own fitness, chase my own dreams, chase my own money. And as a byproduct of that, me getting better, I'll attract the best woman that I can get. And so that's my final message for today.
I love it. That's a great final message. And I agree with literally everything you said, so I won't just say the same thing. But I think that be patient. Like being patient and not like rushing relationships is a real rarity today. It's like everyone's just so ready all the time, always like looking, next one. I think that just be patient in making sure you do have the right person, and the way you do that is you build yourself to become a better person, like from the very, very start. I think that then you will always attract better in everything. I think read The Way of the Superior Man, become a man, don't be a woman if you're a man. Like, I don't care about the whole woke leftist stuff. Like, just be a man. Like, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Them. Yeah, just be a man, lead the woman will be a great woman. And that's pretty much what I got to say on that.
Ash, thank you for your time. Where do we find you?
At Overdraft on Instagram.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in, guys. See you next time.